Welcome back, folks. Welcome back to Love and Dialogue podcast with your host, Tristan and the Lovely.
Brianna. Today we have some special guests joining us. We have the lovely Shandy and Charnice. Say hello to the folks, guys.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, y'all.
Alrighty, so they are joining us today to talk about relationship life versus single life. We're going to talk a little bit about the differences, what's working, what's not working, what do we love, what do we hate, and maybe even dipping a little into dating in this new world that we are in. So, I think just to kick it off in general, guys, is just like, tell me where you're at, right? How are we feeling? Do we prefer the single life or the relationship life? In general.
Would you like to go first, Charnice?
I don't know. Oh, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. So for context, single life versus relationship life. So for context, I'm a single mom. And sometimes dating is super, super fun. The relationship part can be great. But I feel like when you're not in a relationship, you're like not triggered. And sometimes it's fun not being triggered and like just relaxing and making your decisions without thoughts of others and like being a little bit at peace. At the same time, though, I feel like when people are not in a relationship, it's very hard to grow because you're not being triggered. It's like you're just kind of living out in limbo land, kind of like doing your own thing. And it takes so much intentionality to be like, ooh, where's that mirror looking back at me to tell me about myself? Like you have to go to community to do that versus going to your partner to do that. So I don't know. There's a lot of pros and cons for both.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I really like that perspective of the growth aspect, right? Because, yeah, you can do a lot of work on your own, right? But it does help to have somebody along the way, like, hey, have you thought about this? Hey, have we checked in on this? So I can definitely understand that aspect of it.
Yes. For me, to give a little context, I've had two really long relationships and I've been single now for maybe like 5 years, 4 years, 5 years, around that time. So I feel like in general, both are really fun. In my personal experience, I feel like just meeting different people, being introduced to new things, new places, it's always really fun. But then I'm such a relationship girly. Like I love being in a relationship. But I feel like sometimes it takes away a lot of time. So you really can only focus on yourself and solely yourself when you're single. So I feel like both have pros and cons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's what we're here to talk about, right? The pros and cons of both, for sure. And I think, what I hear from you, Shandy, is like you're a relationship girly, but you also love your freedom and just kind of being able to get up and go and do what you want to do.
Yeah, I do. And I have no kids. I have no dog. I have no responsibilities, to be quite honest. My grandparents don't even well, I only have one set of grandparents, but they're not even like here. So here is in locally. They're yeah, they're away. But yeah, I have no real responsibilities. So I feel super single. Like I feel like people who have like grandparents to worry about or older parents or siblings who are younger than them, they also have tons of responsibilities, whereas at the moment I just don't. So I feel like I'm able to really live out a single life, you know?
Now, when you're going through that, do you ever feel a void for both of you? You both said you've been in long relationships. Now, do you ever feel a void of being back into a relationship?
Like
For
missing it?
Like
sure.
missing it, yeah.
Absolutely not.
Really?
So we got two sides here. One misses it, one doesn't.
Absolutely not. I feel like I've been in relationships for half my life. So,
So you
um,
finally feel free
I don't want to
to
say
be
it's
to
free.
find yourself, be yourself.
I feel like I have so many goals. I have a full social life. I have fitness goals. I have business goals. I just have a lot of goals. So I'm always busy. I'm always doing something. I'm always hanging out with my friends. So I don't really feel a void. I
Okay.
I
don't
for sure feel a void. Oh my God. I'd be like, am I allowed to cuss?
Girl, live your life.
Okay, cool. Like the body pillow is in the bed. Cause
Yeah.
who is sleeping with me? That is crazy. No, I for sure miss it. I've been like unpartnered for like 7 years, like dating and like getting to know people, situationships for sure. But what? Of course I miss it. I'm really like a passenger princess's heart. And I'm over here acting like Uber with these kids. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's a huge difference. I'm not a passenger princess at all. I feel like I'm also not super sensitive either, so that might play a role in how I feel. I love being alone. That sounds bad. I just love like I love silence. I feel like if you're in a relationship, you always have to talk to somebody. Don't get me wrong, I love to yap. I do love relationships, but I just feel like being single brings like a different oh, it brings a different day-to-day life. And I
That's
like
So let's say, you're out there and you find someone you're really, want to invest your time in. Are you going to push them away or are you actually going to entertain them?
Ooh,
I'm actually in that situation right now.
okay.
But no, he is so he's great. He's amazing. But I think we mesh really well. I don't push him away at all. Like I said, I am a relationship girly, so I do embrace like having someone in your life. But I also do enjoy, you know, being a free bird.
Is it communicated right
What do
off
you
the
mean?
bat on like the expectations? Are we talking expectations now that we feel that there's an investment period coming together? You just said that, we mesh really well. So that typically leads into, companionship. Now, are
Yeah.
you sharing that like you want to still continue to be a free bird or are you kind of just letting it lead wherever path it's going?
I feel like when I'm super single, as in not dating anyone, I like to be a free bird. But when I'm dating someone who I really like, I kind of go back into that relationship type of, I don't know. I just behave like I'm slightly in a relationship. So I'm not currently behaving like a free bird, but I do enjoy both.
So you're not putting a title on it just yet. Got it.
I feel like Shandy and titles take like years.
Yeah, because I don't want to put a title on something that I'm not 100% sure about. Like, I'm not the type to hop into a relationship after 3 months or 2 months. Like, I feel like I need to know you for real. So it's not happening.
But can't you like use that time to get to know each other in like a more intentional space without like not a threat of other folks, but just like with the agreement that you're only going to focus on each other? Like I feel
Yeah.
like after like 3, 4 months, for me, it's like if 3, 4 months pass and we are not talking about being
What are we
exclusive,
doing?
oh, why are we here?
Oh, I agree. I agree. Um,
Would you put titles on it after 3 months?
no.
What y'all
Would you
doing?
share intentions of like where you want these things to go after 3 to 4 months
Mm.
or even
I'm just,
sooner?
I'm just not a fan of calling anyone your boyfriend just because you've been dating for 3 months and then breaking up because you weren't a good match. I feel like I need to figure out for a good match first and figure out, our long-term goals and all that before I put a title on it. Because I'm not
You
a
know
fan
Okay.
of breaking
long-term
up.
goals
So it's
at four
like,
months.
what'd you say?
You should know long-term goals at 4 months.
I agree, but I feel like I want to know as much as possible about the person I'm about to call my boyfriend. Like,
Okay, so what is enough information then? Like, how do you know that you've reached
We talking
that
social security,
transition?
blood type,
I'm
401k,
right?
not a fan
Roth
of
IRA.
I'm just not a fan of rushing. Like, I don't see a point in rushing. Like, what are we rushing for?
Okay. I
Like, what's the
also
purpose?
wonder if it's because you define yourself as a relationship girly, but I'm kind of wondering, are you actually a relationship girly based off of this conversation right now? But that's another topic.
Okay.
But I'm wondering if because you've been in such long-term relationships, if that has anything to do with the hesitancy to like leap in.
Um, I just feel like you don't know someone fully after 3 months. I feel like I need to see you in more than one season. Like, I need to know if you have seasonal depression. Like, what's going on here? I need
We
to know.
live together and I'm still learning things about this
I
man.
know,
Like
but
you're
That's
after three
always
months,
gonna be learning and growing and understanding your partner.
I agree, but after 3 months, that's literally not even a full semester. That's a quarter. So why are we rushing here? Like, what? Let's get to the tea. Why are we rushing?
I don't think there's something that you don't know at 4 months that you do know at 6 months or that you do know at like 9 months. Like at the very least, there's been like things to tell you or like breadcrumbs to let you know like what's
Yeah,
going on with the person, like how a person feels, thinks, moves, goals, aspirations, red flags, yellow flags. I don't know. I just
exactly.
like know. And because time is so crazy. It's like you wait 6 months, it's like someone's gonna evolve. At
Mhm.
least for me, it's like I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago. So I don't expect anyone else to be either. And I just feel like each time, or as much as we're learning someone, it's like, you're gonna be new and I have to relearn you. And then you get married and it's like, well, fuck, I have to relearn you for the
Yeah.
rest of our lives.
Mhm.
I think my thing is I know that people usually put their best foot forwards and they typically wear a mask for the first 2 months, 2 or 3 months. So it's like, I want to see what it's like after the mask falls off. Like,
Oh, no, I think it's hard to wear a mask in
going on.
2025. 2025 is crazy.
2025 is crazy. But I
Yeah.
also wonder like what you're thinking of. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like ultimately you're saying here that there's a mask, right? A potential
Yeah,
mask for 3 to 4 months is your thought process,
absolutely.
right?
Minimum.
Okay. But how are you going to know that that mask is off if you guys are not truly committing to something? You get what I'm saying?
How do you test the
Yeah.
boundaries? That's what I'm curious about. Because, you know, from a guy perspective, we're definitely trying to put our best foot forward to impress, right? How do you push those boundaries on him trying to impress you to kind of peel back those layers to kind of see, like, all right, now we're starting to see the real person?
For me, I just wait until like the 3 month mark and I see if their behavior is much different from when I first met them. Because if it is different, it's like, why is it different? What's going on here? Like, was that the real you or was it not? So I feel like once their behavior is consistent for more than one season, then I know, okay, this might be the real person. Because, people, they really are really, they're odd and they will listen. There's a reason why the dating scene is how it is. I feel like people will not show you their true selves, sometimes even after a full year. So I don't understand the rush. I feel like that's why there's so many like breakups, there's so many divorces, because people don't actually take the time to learn who they're with and they're always rushing.
I think people like the idea of relationships more than they actually want to be in a relationship. And I think that that's why they don't work more than anything. I think when two people are truly invested in wanting to be in a relationship, you're going to make it work because it's work. You know what I mean? We talk about this all the time about like, it's constant work. Like you have to make that decision that that's what you want to do. Otherwise, then yeah, you're going to be broken up.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I'm
agree.
I'm curious on more just like I guess from a funny perspective and asking a question about the seasons piece that you keep bringing up. Which are the two seasons you would like to, I guess, talk to someone to kind of see both sides? Is it like a spring into fall, or like a summer into fall or winter? Because you can see both sides. You know, like now we're in like it's a cold season. You know, I don't have that cheerful let's go out all the time summer vibe.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm just curious.
we're taking the
I
seasons
need to see
literally.
summer to fall to winter, ideally. Summer to fall at the bare minimum. Because summertime, like the summertime vibe, some people like, I don't know, they go a little crazy in the summertime. So
Yeah, they
it's
do.
like, I need to see how you're about to act. But what do you think, Charnice?
I think people do act wild in the summertime. I think that I know so many relationships literally that are crumbling at this exact moment. And it just happens to be the first day of spring or the second day of spring. Like it is getting warm, people are getting outside, people want to be more social. And it just feels like the winter hibernation is over.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, people act different. I do think people act different. I do think though it's hard for people to be like to fake the funk for like more than a couple months. I think eventually there's something that's going to be like, oh, like their true colors are going to show. I don't think it takes that long. So I more so want to see people like, I want to see what they're like when they're sad. I want to see what they're like when they're angry. I want to see what they're like around their friends, around their family, like that part. I definitely want to see and just figure out like how they're moving, how people perceive them, how they like present themselves when they're frustrated.
Yeah.
That stuff is important to me. But
I
timing, honestly, if you're around for
want-
more than 4 months and there's not a title, you need to go away.
Oh my gosh, she's strict.
Yeah, because why are we wasting time? Like, I know exactly what I want. Like, I know what the intention is. So if
Right.
our intentions don't align, like if you don't want more kids, if you don't want to get married, like if you're not down with some chickens in the backyard, why are we talking?
Oh my god.
Not the chickens though.
That's
I just
fair.
I
I
want
agree.
the
About her
chickens.
chickens.
I
I want
agree.
the chickens. So it's like if we're not equally yoked in that matter, if you're not a person of faith, you can't leave my household, so you can just go to the next person.
Now, when you're getting to that piece, is there like a certain amount of time that that person needs to put in to like just communicating with you, or can it just be kosher? Like we're just passed by, hey, hey, or does there need to be like a true, like I'm investing, like hey, like I want to go out and do these kind of things. Like what does that kind of look like in 2025?
I think it depends, right? Because like some people are here for a good time and not a long time, and I respect that. Like you can be around to have fun, sure. Am I going to take you seriously? No. Am I going to prioritize you? No. So go with the flow all you want, but you're going to get the go with the flow like energy back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like if you want to be intentional, like you have to be intentional. Or I'm just going to put you in this category over here.
Yeah.
So it seems
Yeah.
like we've naturally gravitated towards the dating in 2025 conversation, which is good, but also it seems to me as though it's a constant struggle. So tell me what this world is like for y'all right now, like truly.
I think Shandy's having fun. What is it like for you?
I think it's pretty damn great. I love it. But I'm not the type. I low key feel like I'm not attracted to that many people anyway. So I feel like, meeting different people is always fun. Like I said before, discovering new places is always fun. But I feel like you can tell if someone might be compatible within the first like few conversations. So usually if I can tell I'm not compatible with someone immediately or within the first few conversations, I automatically put them in a box of no. And that's just that. So dating right now, I do find that in this area, it's very tricky. There's a lot of transplants in, I guess, the DC Nova area. So you can meet someone from DC and you can meet someone from Texas or wherever. Um, it's interesting. It's interesting. I will say that.
Yeah, it is. I feel like you get a little bit of everything, which is wild. But like the sifting in the beginning is so important because it's like, what do you want?
Mhm.
I just want to know what people want. Like, what do you really want from me? Because if you just want to have a good time, maybe that's okay, but maybe it's not. I don't know. I like categorizing people too. Like if it's a no, let's just be over there. If it's a fun situation, let's just be over there. And if it's intentional, let's keep it front and center.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I hear Sharnice is dating with intention. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not with intention. When I said I can tell almost immediately if we're gonna work out or not. Like I can tell just by listening to what the guy's talking about. If he's already bragging about how much money he has and what he has, it's like, ew, get away from me. You can buy me a drink or whatever, but I'm not gonna talk to you.
You want substance. I hear that.
Yes, I want substance. And I'm not gonna lie, there's not a lot of substance here. So when I notice that a guy does not have any substance, it's an immediate no. And that's, I feel like, a majority of guys out here. So, I don't know. I feel like my dating with intention looks a bit different because I'm always quick to say no before I am quick to say yes. And I don't like, I'm very picky also, like extremely picky. So I feel
That's
like
real. I do think that my type is like more, it captures more people than like your type.
mine does not.
Yeah, for
Mine does
sure.
not at all. Like it's a very almost no one fits in it.
So
And that's okay.
are we judge a book by its cover, or do we read the pages?
No.
Oh.
I need to know if you are intelligent, if you have morals, if you have a good job, if you have a car, can you hold a conversation? Can you dress? Not, it doesn't have to be amazing, but don't embarrass me when we're going out. I don't want to have to like be scared of what your outfit might be.
And is all of that in 3 to 4 months, or is that before we even get to a month? Like you're
before we
trying to.
even get to a week, like,
Okay.
please be intelligent. I'm so tired of talking to people where I feel like I have to teach them about life. Like, how long have you been here? Like, don't. And it makes me angry. It makes me frustrated. So it's like I don't even want to go past a day with those type of folks. So I don't know. I feel like my list is way longer.
Where are y'all meeting people? Are we doing the online dating? Are we out in the
Absolutely.
streets?
I go to
Both.
shops, cocktail
Bro.
bars, speakeasies. Yeah, I've met pretty great people, but I can just tell that we're not a match, and that's okay.
That's real. I feel like both for me. I'm so busy. Like there's no way that I can go out multiple times a week and feel like I'm getting enough sleep and I'm energized and I'm like putting my best foot forward for work, business, kids. Like there's just no way. So the apps definitely help. And if I do go out and about, then it's like great. Like that's perfect. But more likely than not, like someone needs to pull me out the house for sure. But I think that like I feel like my type is for sure way more than Shandy's. At the same time, people wean themselves off once we start having a conversation, and I love that. I love when people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're serious," and like, "I'm playing around. We cannot do this because you're really awesome, and I'm trying to be a fuckboy." Perfect.
I
Just
love that.
like it's so great. Like I love that you get the vibes. And then we kind of just moved in that sense. Like, I like when men self-correct because they feel like they're in the presence of something amazing and then they
Yeah,
remove themselves from the situation.
They do the work for you. I like
they
that.
do.
I love it.
Touche. Touche to those guys that could self reflect and just know. 'Cause I could tell you, there's not a lot of that.
No, I mean, I get it. Look, before my marriage, the single life, like I've always been the girl that was too ready. You know what I mean? So I know
Mhm.
what Charnice is saying when she says that. It's like when you are that girl who's trying to like, you know where you're at, you know what you want, you feel like confident about that. It's like you don't want to deal with that. So I totally get what you're saying there. And even Shandy, I understand like your thought process and like wanting to fill people out, needing to know where they're at, and needing to like have intelligent conversations because yes, we are grown out here. Like we are grown. It is 2025 and we're
Yeah.
just getting older. Like we don't have time
I
for
feel
it.
like part of it comes from like just general conversation. If I hear you mention anything about liking Trump, being a Republican, any incel type stuff, any misogynistic type stuff, any like homophobic type of stuff, that automatically cuts out a lot. So
It's a big population these days,
it's like,
actually.
listen,
Unfortunately.
listen, it's ridiculous. And if
I
I,
accidentally went on a date with a guy who voted for Trump. It
oh,
was so wild. I didn't even realize, but he was so proud.
Oh no.
should have searched his social medias, girl.
I did. It was nothing on there. It was so crazy. It was like everything was going super well. But I do tend to like men who are very like traditional and like low key conservative, more moderate, just in terms of like family values.
Yeah,
And then it just took a left turn. He was like, "Are you not gonna ask me who I voted for?" And I was like, "Do
That's
I need
crazy. I didn't even know
he
that was
voted on
part of the
himself.
dating question.
you
Absolutely.
know?"
How did
Oh
it
my,
like do I need to?
yeah,
Like,
I was like, "What?"
I
And
feel
he
like
was
you
like,
should.
"Yeah, I voted for Trump." And I was like, "Wow, that's ruins everything. I thought you were amazing."
I feel like you should know if the person you're potentially dating did vote for a man who wants to take women's rights away. Like,
That's so real. I mean, that was the whole thing. I was like, "Do you understand?" And he was like, "Yes." And I was like,
and if
"Okay."
they don't understand, it's a chop. Goodbye.
Exactly. No, for real. Whether you understand,
Goodbye.
it's
even
a
if they did understand, it's a chop. Like, I mean, it's a double chop. Like at that point, 'cause it's like
Yeah.
you're out here making choices, and yeah. Anyway,
When I was coming up before we got married, I definitely would tell folks that yeah, I need to work on myself first before I could commit. That was
Yeah.
definitely always the number one thing I would say. Especially I was out in Ocean City. Who's getting in a serious relationship in Ocean City when you live out there? So like
No, to be honest.
I wanted to have a stable career, a stable mental state, honestly, And I can't share something with someone if I'm not even taking care of my own self first. So that was one of the biggest things that I told Bree when I was like, when I really wanted to make this work, and I knew that it was my time to, settle down and become one with a person. I was like, all right, I finally found my balance in who I am as a person. I understand my ambitions, my goals. I understand what I want to take care of.
Yeah.
And do you want to share that with me? So, like, I definitely understand where you ladies are coming from with that whole companion piece, and then being able to like have that vision of, I see more than just myself being myself, but I see myself with you. So, like, I definitely understand where you ladies are coming from.
Ooh,
Yeah.
so question. Like, you know, a lot of guys are like, ooh, I need to have it all figured out before I bring someone in, which is perfectly fine, build a house and the wife will come. At the same time, I always wonder about men's like mental thoughts when it's like, okay, they're in a building stage and they're not trash. So like sometimes women are like willing to build with them, but then men are like, no thanks. Like, let me get it together. Why y'all like that?
Pride.
It could be a pride and
Yeah.
ego thing. It's like,
Undoubtedly.
it could be everyone's different. That's the first thing I would say. But if I'm giving my perspective to just talk about like what I was thinking, is that I'm unstable. So why would I want to jump in and bring you into my unstableness? Yeah, I could put on this facade and say, yeah, everything's kosher, everything's going well. But then if I take something left field, you're going to be uninterested and not kind of even ruin an opportunity. So that's where my perspective would come into play. I can't speak for everyone. Some people they're just not ready, or they're just not right in the head. So like there's a lot of reasons to why that may happen. But I just think sometimes it's better if you really think someone's cool and you're really vibing with them, you don't want to ruin that opportunity. It's better to say, like, let me fix myself and then circle back. And if you're still single and I'm still single, I'm ready, let's try this. Versus I jump into it and then just say, I understand you want to build me up, you want to help me out, but I don't know how to give myself to allow that to come in. So it's easy
Yeah,
to push you away.
that's fair. That's a lot of integrity. Okay, cool.
I've heard that from quite a few like guy friends like years ago. Like that's their exact mentality too. I personally don't understand it either, but apparently this is a thing, like you said, Charnice.
I think it's fine though, because it's like, I mean, sometimes it's frustrating. I feel like no one's ever in a space that's like perfect. No one's perfect. So sometimes I feel like people are reaching for perfection, and I'm like, I don't really understand, but okay. At
Yeah.
the same time, we don't know all the things they're going through anyway. So it's whatever. But it's like, growth is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like my thing. I feel like there's a lot of ladies out there. Like you find out this guy's a real catch. He's real down to earth. We're very compatible. But then you find out he's still living home at his mom, and that
Yeah.
becomes like a big turnoff. But you could be helping him uplift. He never knew he had a setback. Either he's taking care of his parent, but sometimes what you say like, oh, I'm still living at home with my parent. Like this and that, it automatically becomes a yellow to red flag without even understanding the reason why. Now, sometimes it could be that they just want to save there and save money.
Yeah.
Contact is important though. Like I was talking to this one guy recently who I'm actually not really opposed to talking to still, but he like rented his house out. Like so he had a townhouse, he rented it out, he moved in with his mother, and now he's like in the process of buying a bigger home because he wants more space for his kid and then he wants to get married one day.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, like I don't really mind that because you have a plan, you have a
Hmm.
vision. But
I
people
feel
be
like,
out there visionless and it's like, oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I think defining what it is too. I think, it's cool to say that you want to work on yourself, but like to your point about this guy, Chinese, it's like, what are you working on? Define that for me. Like, what's going to change? What am I going to see different from you in 6 months that I don't see right now? You know what I mean? And I think sometimes I will say some men, right, do use it as a cop out. You know what I mean? Of like, I need to work on myself. And like, that's the reason why they kind of push back, or it's like, even before we were talking about like, the screen is falling off, the mask is falling off. And so then that's easy to say like that is a little bit of a cop out sometimes. But I will say that men that truly have the emotional intelligence to have those conversations and that inner self work is so important.
So what if they have all that, but they're still a project? Like it's a start from the beginning project, but you see that. Are you taking on that project?
We're all projects. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, guys.
Sound like I need you to hold my hand to get to the starting line
I'm not
project.
holding nobody's hand, okay?
To get to
Now,
the starting line,
to the starting line, no, you need to have left
Yeah.
the starting line, okay? At minimum.
you need to
Like,
be 75% of the way there.
there you go.
Maybe I will hold your hand to the finish line.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
potential thing is so crazy. Like, I don't think people need to like be falling in love with potential. Like, it's very much so like you need to be able to accept people where they're at if they were at that level forever. And if that's not the vibe, it's a no.
Yeah. I feel like people are finally learning that. Like potential. I think, for a long time, like we lived off of that. We were hopeful,
We
man.
were young. That's fair when you're in college. No one
Yeah.
knows what the heck we're doing then. That's
Yeah.
fine. But
Yeah.
like 30 something?
No,
Yeah. Can't be
No,
doing
thank you.
literally. Like,
Some people mature late.
Yeah,
no.
like
it. Well, they can match up with the other people who matured late.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's not time for their person yet.
Yeah, I agree. I'm
Continuous
interested to hear
response.
about you guys' experience before you got married. Like, what was it like for you guys to be single?
Like, not dating.
Not
Yes,
dating
not
each
dating
other,
each
or
other.
like
yeah, like not dating each other. What were the best parts of singlehood before you all got together?
That's a hard question for me because
Is it?
yeah, because I was a relationship girly. So I was always in a relationship. And then when I was single, which is crazy because even when we started dating, I was done. I was not looking for anybody. I was just chilling. You know what I mean? So like even him coming back into my life when he did, I was not, I mean, I know people say that all the time, but I wasn't looking at that point in time.
Yeah.
I was actually trying to embrace my singlehood life. And then it was like, oh snaps, this is real. This is happening. And like, here we are. So I would say that, and again, I don't know we were single we started dating in 2019. So it's like I feel like 2019 to today is a very different world than it was like in 2018 and before, So I feel like our experiences, like that's when online dating just really became a thing, and like that's how people started to meet each other and like all of that. So I just feel like it just looked really different. I don't know. What's your experience? You were in Ocean City though.
I was a free bird.
Free That's what we're going with.
I mean, I I think before we started dating, I was probably single for like 6, 7 years. No, I joke and say free bird, but there was definitely some times where I'm like, dang, I really wish I had someone next to me. Or you talked about like the body pillow. I didn't have a body pillow, but I wished that body pillow was there or someone was there. And I definitely get that. There were some times, I would say I was in like from a relationship standpoint depressed that I didn't have someone. And it's like those things, like when you tried to meet someone, it was like hard. It was like you were always like pushed away or given the door. And it's just like when you try to put that effort in, it was tough. I would say it was tough. Like trying to, even when I found myself to be ready, it was tough trying to find someone that was either ready or that would entertain me to be in a relationship. Yeah, it wasn't always great. Now, obviously, you have your fun times, but like overall, holistically, I would say I am more of a relationship type person. I rather have consistency with someone than just going out and meeting. I think to me that seems exhausting. I'm a social butterfly, but that seems exhausting to always have to go, and it's expensive.
Yeah, I be feeling sorry for y'all sometimes.
It is expensive on the guys' end.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. You told me some horror stories of your past dates.
Yeah, but I think for me, it's always been lessons than losses. I feel like it taught me about myself, taught me what I look for into a person, and it got me to the point. So when I got into a serious relationship, I already knew what I looked for, what I was looking for. I already knew how to present myself in a way that I knew how to be nurturing and caring and to show that towards that person. So there were always lessons along the way. So that's, I would say, I was able to learn in my singlehood, learn lessons to be able to be ready when the time came.
sure.
I
Oh
feel
my
like
God,
you
lot of
learn
lessons.
a lot about like what you like and what you don't like and what you'll accept and what you're like looking for just by being single also. So
Mhm.
I feel like, yeah, there's a lot of lessons you can learn on both ends.
Yeah, definitely. I remember like the last couple people who I like dated. I won't say long term because if it's not real after 4 months, it's not present anymore. But those like two situationships were pretty dope in the sense of like what I learned. Like I was like, oh my gosh, there's some men who will like refuse to argue with me. Whoa. So now I can't talk to anyone who's going to raise their voice at me. It's just like a hard pass because why are you arguing with a woman? Relax.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's I don't know.
that's him. He don't
So
argue.
I want to talk about like what are some of your dating no-nos or red flags?
Ooh.
Ours?
And what?
Oh, shit.
Anybody who wants to chime in.
Okay, take over. I love it.
Wow.
I didn't think it like that.
No,
I'm
you're
just curious,
fine.
like, what is everyone's dating red flags, or was because you guys are married now?
Yeah.
Mine is stuck up. I'll just throw it out there. I don't like stuck up people.
Mm.
What do you define as stuck up?
Dang. Come back to
Like,
me.
That's a really good question.
looking down on you, or just not giving you attention, or just not talking? Because some people
Do you
define
mean
like,
like high maintenance?
High maintenance or really into themselves more than they are to care about another person.
oh, okay,
That's
makes
real. I
yeah,
feel like I get mischaracterized as stuck up when honestly I'm way more down to earth than people realize.
yeah, she
I
is.
think it's like when people just like look at me from afar. And I'm like, did we have a conversation? Because I'm not really like that. But people be like, you look like you take life seriously. And I'm like, I do, but I have fun.
Yeah, she definitely is.
Balance.
I'm high maintenance, but I'm not stuck up. But if you don't talk to me, you might assume that I'm like stuck up.
Yeah. Back to that judging a book by its cover. You actually have to have conversations with people to get
Read
to
the
know
pages. Read the pages.
them. I
Yes.
think for me, mine was like emotional immaturity. Like, can I have a actual conversation with you about some hard stuff, or like
Yeah.
that yelling back and forth and arguing and all of that? Like, been there, done that. No, thank you. So yeah. Can we have
Absolutely.
hard conversations? Is my like turn off. Like,
Yeah.
are you capable of that?
Yeah, that's a big
The
one.
non-negotiable conversations are really important to me. Because I feel like, I don't know, I do feel like not that I'm a compromising person, but I think I'm a very reasonable person. I think like conversation, it's just easy to find common ground with almost anyone for me. Maybe it's like part of the profession kind of thing, like just being in healthcare, it's like I can relate to a whole bunch of folks,
Yeah.
but the non-negotiables just are what they are. And so when people try to like push past them or try to like make something work even though they don't align, I'm like, this is never gonna work. Like, why are we even playing games with each other?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
No, completely.
Absolutely not.
All right, ladies. Well, I appreciate you joining us
Talk
today, having
Right.
some hard conversations about this dating life in this world that we are in. Sounds like you guys are navigating your way through it. We're dating intentionally with some goals in mind.
Yes.
So I'm hopeful, if that's what you want, of course. I don't know. Shandy sounds like she's still living life. But for Sharnice, I'm hopeful that you find your someone very soon.
Retire the body pillow.
Annie might find hers first.
Like, this is like
Facts.
so opposite right now. It's hilarious.
She might even have already found him low key.
You know, low
Maybe.
key.
Have you made
I
it past
agree.
month 4?
Oh,
What's December? What's the end of December until now?
No, he's still within the window.
Yeah, 3 months.
April. April will
Almost
be his
3 months.
window.
He's-
Okay,
he's
okay.
close.
Yeah.
You
Check
know,
back in April.
we'll check back with you.
Okay.
All righty. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This is Love and Dialogue Podcast. We had our lovely guests, Sharnice and Shandy, join us and talk about all things related to dating, singlehood, relationship possibilities, maybe. But yeah, so share your stories with us. If you are going through the dating life, maybe you have found success. Come on, share with us in the comments, like, share all the good things.
And yet again, we are your hosts, Tristan and the lovely.
Brianna,
Till next time.
bye guys.